here's the thing. So last week, of course, we were talking all about these major cases. We were talking about all the DOMA stuff and the Prop 8, and then oh gosh, it's going to slip my mind.
We talked about Paula Dean. We talked about abortion.
Yes, Paula Dean.
We talked about same-sex marriage.
I was so exhausted. I was so exhausted last week.
Bad.
And the thing we didn't get to was Aaron Hernandez,
Right.
which is an interesting case and has a lot of people in the sports world kind of taking different sides of this whole thing.
If you allow me to be Tony judgmental, because this has been an epidemic in the NFL as far as I guess character flaws with the professional athletes, but Aaron Hernandez to me is just a thug, and I hate to judge people.
I'm glad you said that. I feel the exact same way.
I think when you look at the background of NFL players, first of all, I'm tired of hearing, look at his background, where he came from, bad economics as far as growing up in single family. I mean, I get that. I mean, that's the landscape of the NFL, but when someone actually with the guns and actually shoots someone and kills someone, that's where you draw the line in the sand and say we can't allow this. And so,
and they did, and the Patriots did do that.
And I understand that, but it just bothers me every time. I mean, let's face it. I played in the NFL for 12 years, and myself, I have issues off the field, but I knew in a certain element that I knew right from wrong as far as how you got to adjust. And I think now kids, especially coming in the NFL, I think we need to really educate kids coming in the NFL as far as being exposed and socially, because there's a lot of guys in the NFL socially that don't know how to, based on where they're from, they don't know how to handle certain situations.
All right, so what if management, because I think it all boils down to management. I think the greed aspect is so big they'll take anybody just because they think they could make them money. What if to get in the NFL, it wasn't just about how fast you ran, how strong you were. What if it was about how you helped and volunteered in your community, like you have to go to college,
right.
What your past record is, because so many kids, they think that's my ticket out. And if the standards were stricter about character and all of that, then look what we would have working for us. But that has to come from management.
Well, it's and that's a great point. But you look at the landscape of the NFL. I mean, predominantly it's minority, and I'm not saying that's not all guys are like Aaron Hernandez.
That's, of course not.
A lot of guys aren't like Plexico Burress. A lot of guys. There's some great quality people in the NFL.
But the Patriots knew that he had gang ties before they signed him.
And that's the problem I have. And I don't, I have a tattoo, but
where?
Well, it's on my left arm, and I'll tell you that's a great story. But how I got it. But and I don't judge people, but when I see Aaron Hernandez in the handcuffs and tattooed all over his body, and don't get me wrong, I have a lot of friends that have tattoos. I'm not trying to judge anyone, but I just think that to me that sends you become judgmental. But back to your point,
if it's a stereotype.
Yeah. Back to your point, I think that it's if you're an athlete and you're looking for a way to get out of an issue, not all guys can make the transition from college to NFL. There's only a certain amount of people, but certainly there's going to be prone to issues based on where you're from. But let me get back to my point. I'm tired of the excuse of people using that as an excuse of where I'm from, because you can overcome that.
Exactly.
When someone would you say? Oh, I'll let you finish.
No, I'm just saying when someone gives you the opportunity, Aaron Hernandez, $40 million.
I know.
You have to. All of a sudden, the boys you used to hang out with, and you hear athletes say, "Well, this guy, he's rich and famous and moved on." And when you talk to me, well, there's a reason why guys disconnect themselves from certain people. You have got to be able to do that. You've got to be able to disconnect yourself with your boys used to hang out with. And obviously Aaron Hernandez is so arrogant and so, as far as narcissistic, where he doesn't want to disconnect himself with those type of guys.
And do you feel like sometimes the NFL prompts these character flaws sometimes in athletes, such as like that sense of entitlement that they think that they can literally get away with murder, and that they think that they can, you know, because I'm at a certain echelon, you know, of how much money I make, or I'm a professional athlete, that the
Like
judge might go easier on me, or that like I might get out easier because people maybe pity me, or because people look up to me, or because of who I play for.
It's the same thing that celebrities do.
Yeah, it's like they think that they can,
above reproach,
you know, pun intended, get away with murder. And I think that a lot of athletes and celebrities, that's a good point, they kind of have that mindset because the management and the people that they work for, whether it's a TV station or a production company or a coach, they tolerate it and they don't say, hey, listen, like nobody puts them in their place anymore.
Because it's the almighty dollar that rules everything, unfortunately. And I don't know. I mean, I guess it's not different in sports.
Well, to get back to it, I mean, when you kill someone, and you know, it's with this whole story with Aaron Hernandez even being investigated a year ago for a double homicide, and back in June shot someone. I mean, come on now. I mean, there's a little difference between you being a bad boy. You know, I always said you can be a thug on the football field. When I say thug, you can be tough.
You can
you hit someone, talk trash, but you can't be a thug off the field. And unfortunately, guys like Aaron Hernandez, we all of a sudden have to defend the good guys, the guys that are doing the things right in the NFL, the brand. You have to defend that, but
So
the
what about
NFL's got to take some of the responsibility for it in an aspect of it.
What about the younger kids who aspire to play in the NFL? Some of the college kids who are, you know, working as hard as they can, going the straight path. They're not drinking, they're not clubbing, they're just focused on sports. They're doing all the right things. What does it say to those kids when the other kid, who might just be a little bit faster, but he's a troublemaker, has a better chance of getting in the NFL than the kid who has all heart and passion and you know, plays nearly just as well?
Well, and that's a great point, because it's not a league of thugs. It's a league of character guys. You know, they said it's a privilege of playing NFL. It's not a right. So the guys that do well, and the NFL is really trying to focus on the character. And guys have character. You know, you talk about Des Bryant. Des Bryant, I think for him, you look at the same situation, but it's a certain comparison when it comes to, you know, shooting someone as opposed to making mistakes that you know, off the field and bad judgment. I think there's a big difference between that.
Yeah, I agree. People are going to be talking about this one, I think, for a long time after Aaron Hernandez, unfortunately.
You know, a lot of the magazines and social media are already saying that this is going to be like the next OJ trial. You know, that this Aaron Hernandez story is going to kind of hit that same audience of athletes and you know,
it won't be like the OJ trial. OJ was
okay. Never mind then.
OJ was a huge celebrity. I mean, he was big.
Well,
you know.
in the sports world,
in the sports world, Aaron Hernandez is, you know, is kind of,
but not as the quality of OJ Simpson, who had left. I mean,
OJ was out
I'm
on
not saying
bail.
you're wrong. I'm just saying.
It wasn't coming from me. I was just saying people are comparing it to that.
I think the interest is.
Yeah, the interest probably. Yeah, you're right.
I have no interest in it. Zero.
Well,
We can tell.
Looks like a pretty bad painted story.